love with that girl. Wait.
Romeo Juliet.
No, with Shakespeare.
Oh.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet is Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That one.
You saw a production of Romeo and Juliet? Where?
At my school, there went some people that perform at my school.
They came to your school and did it?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's great. Yeah, my friend Richard and I live in this apartment here. We do a lot of Shakespeare.
Oh.
I'm reading all of his works out loud in public. I'm taping myself and have a blog and things. So, just going through one of the more difficult plays. But still fun. You guys mind if I read?
Nah, I don't mind.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks. This is Act 3, Scene 3. King Henry VI, Part 3. Flourish. Enter Louis, the French king, his sister, the Lady Bona, and his admiral called Bourbon, Prince Edward, Queen Margaret, and the Earl of Oxford. Louis sits and riseth up again. Fair Queen of England, worthy Margaret, sit down with us. It ill befits thy state and birth that thou shouldst stand while Louis doth sit. No, mighty King of France, now Margaret must strike her sail and learn a while to serve where kings command. I was, I must confess, great Albion's queen in former golden days. But now mischance hath trod my title down, and with dishonor laid me on the ground where I must take like seat unto my fortune, to my humble seat conform myself. Why say, fair queen, whence springs this deep despair? From such a cause as fills mine eye with tears, and stops my tongue while heart is drowned in cares. Whate'er it be thou still like thyself, and sit thee by our side. Yield not thy neck to fortune's yoke, but let thy dauntless mind still ride in triumph over all mischance. Be plain, Queen Margaret, and tell thy grief. It shall be eased if France can yield relief. Those gracious words revive my drooping thoughts, and give my tongue-tied sorrows leave to speak. Now therefore be it known to noble Louis that Henry, sole possessor of my love, is of a king become a banished man, and forced to live in Scotland a forlorn. While proud ambitious Edward, Duke of York, usurps the regal title and the seat of England's true anointed lawful king. This is the case that I, poor Margaret, with this my son Prince Edward, Henry's heir, am come to crave thy just and lawful aid. And if thou fail us, all our hope is done. Scotland hath will to help, but cannot help. Our people and our peers are both misled, our treasures seized, our soldiers put to flight, and as thou seest, ourselves in heavy plight. Renowned Queen, with patience calm the storm, while we bethink a means to break it off. The more we stay, the stronger grows our foe. The more I stay, the more I'll succor thee. Oh, but impatience waiteth on true sorrow. Enter Warwick, and see where comes the breeder of my sorrow. Once he approacheth boldly to our presence, our Earl of Warwick, Edward's greatest friend. Well, welcome, brave Warwick, what brings thee to France? He descends, she ariseth. Aye, now begins a second storm to rise, for this is he that moves both wind and tide. From worthy Edward, King of Albion, my lord and sovereign, and thy vowed friend, I come in kindness and unfeigned love. First to do greetings to the royal person, and then to crave a league of amity, and lastly to conform that amity with nuptial knot, if thou vouchsafe to grant that virtuous Lady Bona, thy fair sister, to England's king in lawful marriage. If not go forward, Henry's hope is done. And gracious madam, in our king's behalf, I am commanded with your leave and favour, humbly to kiss your hand, and with my tongue to tell the passion of my sovereign's heart. Where fame, late entering in his heedful ears, hath placed thy beauty's image and thy virtue. King Louis and Lady Bona, hear me speak before you answer Warwick. His demand springs not from Edward's well-meant honest love, but from deceit bred by necessity. For how can tyrants safely govern home, unless abroad they purchase great alliance? To prove him tyrant, this reason may suffice, that Henry liveth still, but were he dead, yet here Prince Edward stands, King Henry's son. Look therefore, Louis, that by this league and marriage thou draw not on thy danger and dishonour, for though usurpers sway the rule awhile, yet heavens are just and times suppress his wrongs. Injurious Margaret! And why not queen? Because thy father Henry did usurp, and thou no more art prince than she a queen. Then Warwick disannuls great John of Gaunt, which did subdue the greatest part of Spain, and after John of Gaunt, Henry the Fourth, whose wisdom was a mirror to the wisest, and after that wise prince, Henry the Fifth, who by his prowess conquered all France. From these our Henry lineally descends. Oxford, how haps it in this smooth discourse, you told not how Henry the Sixth hath lost all that which Henry the Fifth hath gotten? Methinks these peers of France should smile at that, but for the rest, you tell a pedigree of 62 years, a silly time to make prescription for a kingdom's worth. Why, Warwick, canst thou speak against thy liege, whom thou obey'st 36 years, and not bewray thy treason with a blush? Count Oxford, that did ever fence the right, now buckler falsehood with a pedigree. For shame, leave Henry and call Edward king. Call him king, by whose injurious doom my elder brother, the Lord Aubrey Vere, was done to death, and more than so, my father, even in the downfall of his mellowed years, when nature brought him to the door of death. No, Warwick, no. While life upholds this arm upholds the house of Lancaster, and I, the house of York. Queen Margaret, Prince Edward, and Oxford, vouchsafe at our request to stand aside, while I further conference with Warwick. King Louis and Warwick stand aloof. Heavens grant that Warwick's words bewitch him not. Now, Warwick, tell me, even upon thy conscience, is Edward your true king? For I would loathe to link with him that were not lawful chosen. Thereon I pawn my credit and mine honor. But is he gracious in the people's eye? The more that Henry was unfortunate. Then further, all dissembling set aside, tell me for truth the measure of his love unto our sister Bona, such it seems as may beseem a monarch like himself. Myself have often heard him say and swear that this his love was an eternal plant, whereof the root was fixed in virtue's ground, the leaves and fruit maintained with beauty's sun, exempt from envy but not from disdain, unless the Lady Bona quit his pain. Well now, sister, let us hear your firm resolve. Your grant or your denial shall be mine. Yet I confess that often ere this day, when I have heard your king's desert recounted, mine ear hath tempted judgment to desire. Then Warwick thus, our sister shall be Edward's, and now forthwith shall articles be drawn touching the jointure that your king must make, which with her dowry shall be counterpoised. Draw near, Queen Margaret, and be a witness that Bona shall be wife to the English king. To Edward, but not to the English king. Deceitful Warwick, it was thy device by this alliance to make void my suit. Before thy coming, Louis was Henry's friend, and still is friend to him and Margaret. But if your title to the crown be weak, as may appear by Edward's good success, then 'tis but reason that I be released from giving aid which late I promised. Yet shall you have all kindness at my hand that your estate requires and mine can yield. Henry now lives in Scotland at his ease, where having nothing can he lose. And as for you yourself, our quondam queen, you have a father able to maintain you, and better 'twere you troubled him than France. Peace, impudent and shameless Warwick, proud set her up and pull her down of kings. I will not hence till with my talk and tears, but both full of truth, I make King Louis to behold thy sly conveyance and thy lord's false love, for both of you are birds of self-same feather. Post blowing a horn within. Warwick, this is some post to us or thee, and to the post. My lord ambassador, these letters are for you, sent from your brother, Marquis Montague. These from our king unto your majesty, and madam, these for you, from whom I know not. They all read their letters. I like it well that our fair queen and mistress smiles at her news, while Warwick frowns at his. Nay, mark how Louis stamps as he were nettled. I hope all's for the best. Warwick, what are thy news? And yours, fair queen? Mine such as fill my heart with unhoped joys, mine full of sorrow and heart's discontent. What? Has your king married the Lady Grey? And now, to soothe your forgery and his, sends me a paper to persuade me patience? Is this the alliance that he seeks with France? Dare he presume to scorn us in this manner? I told your majesty as much before. This proveth Edward's love and Warwick's honesty. King Louis, I here protest in sight of heaven, and by the hope I have of heavenly bliss, that I am clear from this misdeed of Edward's. No more my king, for he dishonors me, but most himself if he could see his shame. Did I forget that by the house of York my father came untimely to his death? Did I let pass the abuse done to my niece? Did I impale him with the regal crown? Did I put Henry from his native right? Am I girded by the last with shame? Shame on himself, for my desert is honor, and to repair mine honor lost for him, I here renounce him and return to Henry. My noble queen, let former grudges pass, and henceforth I am thy true servitor. I will revenge this wrong to Lady Bona, and replant Henry in his former state. Warwick, these words have turned my hate to love, and I forgive thee, and quite forget old faults, and joy that thou becomest King Henry's friend. So much his friend, his unfeigned friend, that if King Louis vouchsafe to furnish us with some few bands of chosen soldiers, I'll undertake to land them on our coast and force the tyrant from his seat by war. 'Tis not his new-made bride shall succor him. And as for Clarence, as my letters tell me, he's very likely now to fall from him, for matching more for wanton lust than honor, or than for strength and safety of our country. Dear brother, how shall Bona be revenged but by the help to this distressed queen? Renowned prince, how shall poor Henry live unless thou rescue him from foul despair? My quarrel and this English queen's are one. And mine, fair Lady Bona, joins with yours, and mine with hers, and thine and Margaret's. Therefore at last I firmly am resolved you shall have aid. Let me give humble thanks for all at once. Then England's messenger return in post, and tell false Edward, thy supposed king, that Louis of France is sending over maskers to revel it with him and his new bride. Thou seest what's past? Go, fear thy king withal. Tell him an hope to prove a widower shortly. I wear the willow garland for his sake. Tell him my mourning weeds are laid aside, and I am ready to put armor on. Tell him from me that he hath done me wrong, and therefore I'll uncrown him ere to be long. There's thy reward, be gone. But Warwick, thou and Oxford with 5,000 men shall cross the seas and bid false Edward battle, and as occasion serves, this noble queen and prince shall follow with a fresh supply. Yet ere you go, but answer me one doubt. What pledge have we of thy firm loyalty? This shall assure my constant loyalty, that if our queen and his young prince agree, I'll join mine eldest daughter and my joy to him forthwith in holy wedlock bands. Yes, I agree, and thank you for your motion. Son Edward, she is fair and virtuous. Therefore delay not, give thy hand to Warwick, and on thy and with thy hand thy faith irrevocable, that only Warwick's daughter shall be thine. Yes, I accept her, for she well deserves it, and here to pledge my vow I give my hand. Why, stay we now, these soldiers shall be levied, and thou, Lord Bourbon, and our High Admiral, shall waft them over with our royal fleet. I long till Edward fall by war's mischance for a mocking marriage with a dame of France. Exit all but word. I came from Edward as ambassador, but I return his sworn and mortal foe. Matter of marriage was the charge he gave me, but dreadful war shall answer his demand. Had he none else to make a stale but me, then none but I shall turn his jest to sorrow. I was the chief that raised him to the crown, and I'll be chief to bring him down again, not that I pity Henry's misery, but seek revenge on Edward's mockery.